morning, Malaysia. Welcome to the Lim Ren En Life Success Stories series. This show is dedicated to improve the lives of people who want a positive change. I have the privilege to know many successful people throughout my career, and I have witnessed many amazing stories of successful business people who came from humble beginnings and made it in life. There is a formula of our success, and you too can be a successful person. My name is Lim Ren En. I'm a father of 4 beautiful children, an amateur bass guitarist, and a husband to a beautiful daughter. I am a senior insurance manager with AIA Berhad, a 11 times MDRT member, and also a 3 times Court of the Table member, currently serving as the country chair of MDRT Malaysia. I dedicated my life to helping medical doctors and SME business owners providing insurance protection for their families and businesses. A simple quote from the legendary George Devon: "When you see me, don't think of insurance. But when you think of insurance, see me."
Welcome to the Lim Ren En Live show. And today we have a special guest, a very special guest with us, Nora Abu Hassan. Nora is an activist, an author, a speaker, and a law of attraction trainer. Nora suffered from congenital cleft lip and cleft palate at birth, and now fully recovered and advocating for the awareness of welfare for the cleft lip and cleft palate children in Malaysia. Nora is also the author of a biography, Born to Smile. Now, Nora is the daughter of the late Sri Abu Hassan Omar, the late Menteri Besar of Selangor. Now, when she was born, Sri Abu Hassan Omar was still a government servant. Now, coming from a humble beginning and background, she was jeered, bullied for her cleft lip, for just being different. Now, from this experience, she felt strongly that every cleft lip child should be given good parental care and also medical assistance to get them back to a normal life as soon as possible, giving back their smiles. Nora also feels strongly that parents should support and educate to know how to take care and emotionally support their children with cleft lip. And today we will go deep into her world as a parent, as a patient, and also as a person who suffer from cleft lip and cleft palate physically and emotionally, using her experience as the first person reaching out to millions of people, the children with the same condition, helping them to gain back their lives, and most importantly, gaining back their smiles. So today, let us welcome Nora Abu Hassan to the show. Hi, Nora.
Hi.
Thank you for coming to the show. It is definitely our privilege to have you here today at Lim Ren En Live. Welcome to my humble studio.
You are most welcome, and I would like to say thank you to you for having me here. It is such a privilege, and I'm humbled to be with you chatting about Born to Smile and the mission and awareness of cleft lip and palate. And I must say, this is a beautiful house and studio you have.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I must tell the audience out there, this is a live show. You can see mistake happening, all right? This is a live show. We are shooting this from my home studio, right? So let's just go deep into the topic, right? So Nora, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your family.
Okay, I'm a mother of 3. My first daughter is 30. My second is 28, and my youngest boy is 15. And I'm also a grandson. I also have a grandson. He's 2 years old. My background, I have the Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Sociology from the University of New England, Armidale, New South Wales. Upon graduation, I came back and worked with Southern Bank Berhad, which is now CIMB. And I left and resigned the bank after 5 years, and I started my own kindergarten, which is called the Children's Cottage, which is a kindergarten based on the Montessori method of education.
So you're a mother, a grandmother, a business person, and also an activist now. fighting for the benefit and also the welfare of people with cleft lip. Now, you are also the eldest daughter of Tan Sri Abu Hassan, one of the best known statesmen of Selangor, and the late Menteri Besar of Selangor. And I revered this man, of course. You know,
I'm very humbled to hear that. Thank you so much.
in the Chinese community, we referred him as the cleanest Menteri Besar, right? So when you were born, your father hadn't really come to political prominence yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So how did the family react when they had you? You're the eldest. You're the first child that was born to the family. How did your parents react to that?
Well, I was born in the 1960s, and as you know, during those times, there was no scanning available. So when my parents went into the labor room expecting their first child, and then when I came out, obviously I had a cleft lip and palate, but we never really spoke about it until I decided to do the memoir, Born to Smile, when I asked them how they felt about seeing me for the very first time. My father said he accepted it as the fate of God, but my mother was, of course, shocked and surprised to see her firstborn child having a cleft lip and palate. And when I interviewed my father, that was in 2017, because I had to write his feelings, how he felt in the book. A week after that, he passed away.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's all right. It's okay. This is what 2017, 2018. Yeah, he passed away.
So as a child, your parents' reaction, your father had a more solemn reaction. He said it's act of basically the gift of God. You just accept what you were given.
The fate as a gift of, as the fate of God.
That is the fate of God.
Takdir Tuhan.
Takdir Tuhan, And your mother supported you throughout.
She did, but they were very young. They were only 23 years old.
Yes. So now tell us a little bit about the surgery and especially the physical hardship you have to go through. Now you were born with bilateral, unilateral cleft palate and cleft lip. Tell us a little bit more about that. What is the difference between unilateral and what are the difference of cleft palate?
There are 4 conditions. All right. One is a cleft lip. So your lip is split, torn, and your palate is intact. The other one is a cleft palate. Your lip is okay, but your palate is split. A unilateral cleft lip and palate is where you have a split on your lip, in the palate, and it will also affect your nose. The 4th condition is a bilateral cleft lip and palate, where you have 2 splits on your lip and inside your palate. And children who have a cleft palate, they will usually have, a situational problem with speech. They will speak with a high nasal tone. So it is advisable for the children born with a cleft palate that they need to go for speech therapy. Mm-hmm. Yes. And obviously the operations will not just take one time, because you have to go and repair your lip, you have to go and do your palate repair, and then your nose, and some of them also have some hearing problems. So for me personally, I myself had to go for about 8 to 10 surgeries from the age of 3 months right up to 30 years old.
That is 30 years of continuous medical care and surgery.
Well, it's not every year, obviously, but yes.
But it's still pretty tough for a child, right, to go through, say, every other 3 years or basically it's every other 3 years you have to go through a surgery.
Well, you see, the repair work, you have the repair work, and then you have the revision, or you call it the refinement work. Now, usually, the refinement work, plastic surgeons generally will only do the work on the on the kids when they are 17 years old is when the face will stop growing. Because when you do the repair, the initial repair, it doesn't just take one time again for it to be, I would say, in the eyes of society, okay. So after the repair work, then we need to go for further revision and further refinement. And that would, again, like I said, starts at the age of 17 years old.
So there's basically a two parts of the surgery. The first part is just to do the basic repairing.
Correct.
You go through speech therapies and all that to get, that's when you're before adolescence, before you go into teenage years. And after that, you go into refinement and also some other repair works.
Refinement and
revision work after you're grown up.
17 and above.
That would have cost quite a lot of money to do, right?
But the government hospitals in Malaysia do provide funding.
Yeah, so we will come back to that a bit later on, yes. Now, I know kids with cleft palate do have a problem with speech. So you went through speech therapies, I noticed that from the book. And how long does it take for you to actually from having a difficulty of having a normal speech to be right now, where you speak normal?
Okay. I did intensive speech therapy from the age of 7.5 to 8.5. And I also went for further classes or therapy sessions when I was about 30 years old, just to further refine the way I communicated and the way I speak. So 1 year when I was young and a couple of months when I was about 30.
All right. So you did speech therapies and it became what you are today, normal and all that. So it is only like 1 year and
1
then a full classes for that after that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So now, I know that in school you went to St. Gurney in KL at first, Jalan Gurney in KL, and then you went to St. Nicholas in Hull.
Correct.
When your father was posted to do his masters in UK.
That's right.
So tell us about your life in primary school. How was it?
Well, like I said, when I went to school in Standard 1 in Jalan Gurney, honestly, I cannot recall much, being a very, very young child. But I remember going to St. Nicholas in Hull. I was about 7.5. And it was a very pleasant place. It was nice. I had nice friends and the teachers were warm and very friendly. And I was there for about, from the age of 7.5 to almost 9 years old. And then we came back in 1973 and I went back to Sekolah Kebangsaan Jalan Gurney. And I also went to the religion school in the afternoon or depending on the semester. So either you go to Kebangsaan in the morning and religion in the afternoon or vice versa depending on the semester. Yeah, I was 9 then.
So tell us about the things in school, about the bullying and all that.
Yeah, well, I can recall when I was in the in religion school, in the religious school, on occasions where I would play with my friends before classes starts, and there would be these boys from afar, young boys' voice. Until now, until today, I don't know who he is. I can't recall who I don't know. I've never seen his face. And then he called me names, and names like Sumbing, Sing It, and Singao, and it would happen quite often. Yeah, and of course, obviously at that point of time, I would be very hurt, very sad, very angry, and also very, embarrassed because he's actually calling me names. And I would be playing with my friends. And sometimes in the other school that I would go to the canteen and then somebody would look at me and again call me names. So I was a very young child at that point of time. I was very insecure and I did not have any defense mechanism. I must admit I had lovely friends, but at that very young age, I did not want to even speak about it, so I kept it to myself. But when I go home, on occasions, I would tell my mother that, I've been called names, I've been bullied, and then my mother on occasions would go to the schools and talk to the teachers or the head mistress or headmasters, telling them that my child doesn't want to go to school because she's feeling hurt, or she doesn't just want to go. She's not happy going to school.
Now, when you grow up as a teenager, was things better for you during secondary?
Okay, the thing is, you only go for like I said earlier on, the repair work is basic, but if you want to do revision and refinement, usually the plastic surgeons would only do it at the age of 17. So there would still be some, difference in my nostrils and my lip. And even in secondary school, before the refinement work and the revision work, I would still be called names, even in like I said, secondary school, yes. And there was one occasion that I would remember very well until today, is that I was going back to, it was after school, I was going back to the car, and there was this group of young, girls that were actually my classmates. And at that time, I just actually pulled my hair at the age of 16 and changed my glasses. And they said something like, oh, she can change her hair and change her glasses, but she cannot change her mouth and her nose. And I was 16 at that time, and I couldn't do anything. I didn't retaliate because I was alone, and they had the gang behind me.
So did you went home and tell your father about it, your parents?
During secondary, I didn't. Not during secondary, but when I was younger, I did. Yes.
It must have been tough for a child, a girl.
It is. I must admit, it is tough. It is tough. I'm not going to deny that. I was very insecure, and I was not happy, because when I go back to the house and look at myself in the mirror, and I know what they say is true. You see, I did have a difference in my nose, in my lips, so I cannot deny that.
So the physical appearance of your ordeal, but tell us about the emotional part. How did you handle as a teenager?
Right. Like I said earlier, when I was a child, I would tell my mother. But as a teenager, what I did was I would go back into my room. I would listen to music. I love Donny Osmond. I would listen to Donny Osmond a lot. That was, a space for me to soothe my soul, or my wounded soul. But I would also go into a space which is, I would say, visualization. All right. So I would see myself in another world and play like I'm seeing a movie, myself being, being this Nora, that she's happy, that she's cheerful, that she's okay. I would visualize over and over again. I would know at that point of time I was hurt and I was, not happy, but I would go into that other world, that I saw myself in this other world. And only when I was an adult, after going for seminars and all that, then I realized that I was actually harnessing the power of my subconscious mind, which is what you call the law of attraction. So I was visualizing a lot at that time. As what else could I do as a teenager, feeling upset? So I would just move into that world of my own.
So you were telling us in the book that your parents are amazingly supportive to your plight.
Yes.
So would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, they were very supportive of the fact that I needed to go for my surgeries. And because, I was born in 1960s, my mother told me that my late grandparents were actually not very keen in me going to do the repair work, because maybe at that point, I don't blame them, because it could have been lack of education and lack of awareness and oral exposure. But my parents fought for me to go for the necessary treatments, and there were some relatives that would say things and kind things to my parents that, hey, you have a child like this, and it hurts my mother especially because she's at that time she was 23. It hurt her when people would say that, oh, Anak, your child is like this. So again, there was stigma and discrimination at that time. But I belong to a cleft and palate social group, so I met some mothers and grandmothers, and right now in the 1920s, 2020, the mothers and the grandmothers are still telling me that sometimes people still say unkind remarks if a child is born with a CLP. So discrimination still exists. And
Yes, of course.
Yes. That's why the reasons, one of the many reasons why I did the book, apart from giving tribute to my parents who went through discrimination and stigma, was to give hope, inspiration to the families, to the children, to the mothers, that there is hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and a very strong message out to society to eradicate bullying, stigma, and discrimination, because the children currently are still being abused, emotionally abused.
So tell us about what kind of association are there in Malaysia that exists now that helps cleft lip and cleft palate children?
The Cleft Lip and Palate Association of Malaysia, which is called Cleft Palm Malaysia, yes.
Are they actively involved?
Yes, they are actively involved. That means when a child is born with a cleft lip and palate, they have to be, the hospitals would inform them, and before they registered with Clapham, they can't get themselves discharged. And Clapham also provides funding, certain funding, and also give them support emotionally as well.
So is Clapham the only association now?
For right now, I think so. But Ronald McDonald's have also their CSR project, which is called Gift of Smile, where they also fund children with cleft lip and palate.
All right. So tell us a bit about medical support. I believe that you are quite involved with the medical fraternity about for giving support to cleft palate and cleft lip children. Now, the medical support, the government does tremendous work in supporting this. Now, what can the government do more for this cause?
Okay, all right. As you know, the government do subsidize treatments for all cleft patients, and we've also mentioned about Clapham and McDonald's, and these are the two NGOs that support the families financially. Okay, the others are the Zakat and the Hospital Kebajikan, where they can go for financial support. And we have to emphasize that financial constraint should not be a reason for the children to get treatment on CLP.
Right. So the government does give a little bit more.
They do. What they have to do is that if, like as an adult, if they have not gone for the further revision work, what they need to do is that they just have to go to the nearest clinic and get a referral letter to say that they are a cleft lip and patient, when they are a CLP patient, and with that letter they can go to the government hospitals and get an appointment done with the plastic surgeons.
Right. So basically, I believe the government actually does a tremendous job in supporting this community. As Malaysia, as one of the best, Malaysia has one of the best public medical support in the world.
Right.
So now I'm going to ask you a more a funny question. Now, if you are given a chance to go back 40 years, what would you tell the younger Nora?
The younger Nora?
Yeah.
What I would tell the younger Nora? Okay, that is a question that is funny according to you. I will tell her that when you're being called names, you got to turn back and stand up. You need to speak up. Okay? Do not suffer in silence. That means as the action is being done, you need to tell the person that, excuse me, you have no right to call me that name. And do not allow anybody to label you. And also tell Nora that one day you are going to be fine. If I were to go back to the younger Nora and tell her that I love you unconditionally.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
That would, and also, Nora, turn your pain into wisdom. One of my most favorite quotes from Miss Oprah Winfrey.
Now, moving forward, what are you planning to do for the cleft lip and also cleft palate association in Malaysia and for the children with cleft palate and cleft lip? So what are your plans to actually move this and advocate for this cause?
Well, I'm not going to mention the government hospital, but prior to the MCO, they wanted to set up a cleft clinic, and they wanted me to be involved in that cleft clinic, number one. And number two, we just collaborated with Puan Ainon that has a board game which is called Aman Tanpa Bully, which is a board game that educate families and communities about anti-bully. So we're doing some collaboration work with her to further give out a strong message about about bullying. And also, if people out there want to invite me to be talking about bullying and discrimination and stigma, they're welcome to. I would love to go to schools before the MCO, COVID-19. I did go to schools and I did talk to schools about anti-bullying and how the effects and the bullying of, the effects of bullying on children. And we all know that some children do not have the strength to come up from this emotional turmoil. And in a worst case scenario, they will go, bullying does affect a person's mental and emotional health, anxiety, leading to depression, and in the worst case scenario, even leading to them taking their own lives. So this bullying is not something that we should, should not be taken, it should be taken seriously.
So, throughout your life, you have experienced the ups and downs, in and out, In one sentence only, can you sum up your life?
In one sentence. One word or one sentence?
One sentence.
Believe in yourself and believe that you can become that person that you desire to be. One sentence.
Yes, one sentence. Believe in yourself and believe that you can become the person that you want to be.
That you desire to be.
That you desire to be. Thank you, Nora. Thank you, Nora, for coming to the show. It has been an awesome privilege for us to have you, So I wish you the best in Claypan, right? And also your advocate. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Born to Smile, which is a memoir, Life, Love, and September, Cleft and Palate, says about the emotional struggle, the multiple surgeries, and also my journey towards self-actualization, self-acceptance, and self-realization. Okay, all of us have our own challenges, but if you believe in yourself, you can achieve self-acceptance. It was a story of how I seek for external help to look for self-acceptance. It is actually currently in Malaysia and MPH, Kinokuniya, Borders, Times, and Popular, but we've also recently put it in Amazon.co.uk, and you can get the physical book from there. But for those of you who are all are into e-book, you can get the e-book format from eCentral's platform, which is also available worldwide.
All right. So where can we find you, Nora, if let's say our listeners want to actually get more engagement with you?
You can find me on my Instagram, and Hassan 8, and also my Facebook, Nora Abu Hassan. And currently, our Born to Smile Facebook page is still under construction. Hopefully to get up soon.
So there you have it, Nora Abu Hassan, an advocate for cleft lip and cleft palate children. And this is her book, Born to Smile. If you do want to actually buy this, you can buy it at Kinokuniya and basically on Amazon or online, you can actually get this, right? So I've personally read it, and I think everybody should take a look at this and advocate for the cleft lip and cleft palate children in the world.
And it's a journey of self-acceptance. Like I said, a lot of us all have different challenges.
Yes.
You know, in relationships, our careers, but it's not just about the story, but it's about understanding yourself, seeking help, and believing in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who will believe in you? And you need to pick yourself up.
So thank you, Nora, for coming to the show, and we have come to the end of our show. So thank you so much for coming, and I believe that this has benefited a lot of people. So until then, we will see you and see all the audience next week. Next week, we have Dr. Sumitra will be here talking about fertility and how do you actually get pregnant. So thank you so much for coming to the show, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Ren, for having me. It's been a privilege to